Keep Right with Ralph K. Ginorio. Earning survival. Death awaits us all, and everything in this world that we love will someday pass away. What a lovely way to start a column. Why would anyone read further or listen further with such a dismal opening? Certainly, each of us as individuals face real tragedy as our loved ones and our own bodies falter and fail. However, our society has been so comfortable, wealthy, and secure for so long that as a people, Americans have largely forgotten the harsh realities of struggling just to survive. This munificence is a blessing, purchased for us by the generations who suffered to build this republic, expand it to the Pacific, endure World War I, survive the Great Depression, triumph in World War II, and prevail in the Cold War. But nothing lasts forever. Since we deindustrialized, thank you, globalists, Americans have not grown wealthier each generation. We have stagnated, but we have done so at a very plush level. Outside of the worst blue cities, electricity reliably flows, groceries fill store shelves, crime is the exception rather than the norm, and we maintain a high degree of trust within our society. American-style prosperity is for much of the third world something that they can only dream of one day achieving. Only two significant attacks have rocked our territory since the westward expansion, Pearl Harbor and September 11th, 2001. Each of these provoked wars that were mostly victorious and were largely fought on other people's land. Because of all of this success, most Americans have forgotten what life really means for most human beings, both long ago and far away. As a society, we have not needed to make real sacrifices just so that we and our loved ones can eat the next meal. Most living Americans have no personal experience of fighting for our lives just to exist one more day. For decades, there has been a widening buffer separating the stable comfort of our shared lifestyles from the blood, toil, tears, and sweat necessary to procure it. This has blinded us to the reality that survival and success must be earned. We have to be hardworking, tough, and talented enough to succeed. We must sweat, get our hands dirty, endure wounds, and spend ourselves to exhaustion in our fight for ongoing existence. Paradoxically, but predictably, generations of inherited peace and prosperity has encouraged an explosion of delusional maladaptation. The cosseted children of America have not had to face the harsh realities of life. They have, as a group and individually, been sheltered so much that they have little lived experience to leaven their utopian theories and decadent dreams. Instead of experiencing reality firsthand, these hothouse youths and infantilized adults inhabit their own fantasy worlds and deny anything that does not fit their prejudices. One of these realities is warfare. Nuclear weapons have retarded the fighting of general war since 1945, but war in some form is inseparable from the human condition. The opposite of war is not peace, it is all too often surrender. War is not usually discretionary. It is most often necessary for a nation's survival and ongoing freedom. Damning anyone willing to wage war against active enemies like Venezuela's Maduro, Iran's Khamenei, Russia's Putin, and China's Xi can be suicidal. It is not warmongering to be willing to fight an essential battle. It is survival, a prerequisite for survival. It is perilous for an apartment dweller to ignore the outbreak of a fire in a neighbor's apartment. The world is no longer a bunch of widely scattered individual homes. Unfortunately, it is one big apartment building. Fire one place always spreads unless it is stopped. Endlessly appeasing dictators is a recipe for ultimately becoming enslaved by them. We need not try to nation build Western societies wherever we fight and win. We merely need to kick over their anthills and destroy those leaders and ruling factions who insist on being our enemies. Giving power to their domestic enemies is more than enough, especially if these new regimes do not themselves become our enemies. If they do, we can and should again kick them over. repeating until this message is conveyed. Our world is a dangerous place. Evil exists, and in human form, evil has and does create hell on earth. Evil abides no limits. It expands until it is fought and defeated. This is what we must now do: defeat evil. Many Americans are discussing Iran as a forever war less than 1 week after the opening of hostilities. Instead of indulging in such whining, not winning, we must be patient and struggle through to victory. And it takes as long as it takes, for the duration, as they used to say. If we want a real victory and not a Pyrrhic victory, we must take the time and spend the blood and treasure. Anything less than such a complete commitment does nothing less than imperil our survival. Thank you for listening.